Hi, I'm Chris Moore with HVAC Pro Blog, and this week we're wrapping up a two-part series on Manual J, What Not to Do. Last week we covered the first half, and now we're going to wrap this up and talk about the other things you shouldn't do when you're doing a residential load calculation. Without further ado, here's the training. This is a big one, especially on new construction. Don't fail to give full credit for the builder's effort to produce a tight envelope, okay? If you know the actual air changes per hour because you either measured it or it's prescribed as part of the construction, then enter the air changes per hour, all right? And there's some great charts to translate what that means in a home, right? What tight is, semi-tight, average, semi-loose, and loose. If you're a elite or even a VIP member of Patreon, you can walk through the Manual J section of the design videos that I've provided. It's numbers 1 through 11. It was posted way back in May of 2020. Definitely take a look at those. One of them is on infiltration and what the selection needs to be. And if you don't measure, I give you some great ideas how you can make an educated guess based on what you see at the house and the age of the home. Okay, and this is based on real studies. I didn't make it up. All right, make sure you're making an educated guess. All right, if a local code specifies a fresh air requirement, do not assume that the infiltration rate is going to satisfy this requirement. Really important here. The mechanical code says you need at least 15 CFM per person in a house, right? If you're doing a load calc and it's so tight that you need to provide mechanical ventilation, don't assume that all of the cracks and leaks in the home is going to cover you just by running negative ventilation in a bathroom and cycling the bathroom fans on. That's probably not going to do it. You need to bring outside air in, and when you're doing a load calculation, you need to account for that outside air and how humid and if there's any recovery in the ERV or the HRV, right? So really important to have those specs when you're actually doing the load calculation to account for that additional load that can be applied to the home. Here's another one. In my house, I'm willing to bet when they designed the steam heat, the one pipe steam that I have in my home, originally they accounted for some windows and doors to be slightly open because of bad air back in the 1800s, right? They didn't quite understand, but they knew. So don't assume that windows and doors are going to be open when you make the infiltration estimate. Obviously, it's amazing how much heat loss is through just a small crack in your window, right? Or if you don't have your windows into winter mode, right? Meaning closed and locked. Locked is the key. Otherwise, if you have it unlocked, you're going to find there's going to be a lot more infiltration of the house. Don't assume that that's going to happen. You have to assume that they know how to operate their home and that the windows and doors are going to be closed in the heating season particularly, or in the cooling season. If you open your windows and doors, you should not be running your heat or your air conditioning, right? For obvious reasons. But people do it all the time. But I'm willing to bet most people do it because systems are so drastically oversized, they can do it, all right? Especially at vacation homes. I see it all the time. It's so frustrating. All right. I don't know what number we're on, but we're moving right through here. Do not make worst case, everything's going full blast assumptions about internal loads. All right, you have to make sure that if it's going to be operating during peak demand, so in the summertime, it's 4 or 5 p.m., if it's going to be on, then it needs to be in the calculation. So as an example, can lights in a kitchen, that's a huge offender, right? There's adjustments for internal gains for kitchens, for IT rooms, or what you'd call entertainment rooms, right? There's adjustments in the load calculation for everything that should be on during peak demand. If everything is on all the time during peak demand, it's not realistic, okay? So you can't have 20, 30, or 40% of your load because of internal gains. It's going to be so obvious in the load calc, you should probably fail that building permit, okay? Really important, make the correct block load assumptions, and then adjustments if you're doing room by room load calcs, putting them in the correct room because that does impact duct design. All right, we're getting closer to the end here. Do not add extra occupancy loads for entertaining groups of people, all right? I don't know how many times I've watched a DIY network show, and the number one thing they say when they're looking at a house, oh, I can entertain all these people. Nobody entertains all that time. And you can't size your heating and air conditioning for the fact that you might entertain one day. Doesn't matter. We can't size it based on having the whole family over on Thanksgiving or the whole family over on the 4th of July. It doesn't work that way, all right? So you're not adding people for that. The number of people is always the bedrooms plus one for the home. 2 people in the master bedroom, right? And you don't add internal loads for special events either. Like we're going to play pinochle and I run my whatever humidifier or something. I have all these gains. It doesn't work that way, okay? That's when I always have all these lights on in the house. It's not the majority of the time, and it's not during peak demand every day. You can't drastically oversize your equipment for 1 hour once a month, a couple times a year in the cooling season, right? So really important. Don't add extra people. Don't add extra internal loads. All right, here we go with the ductwork. Don't just assume that the ducts are unsealed. You need to take a look. I know, I've been in sales. That means I have to poke my head in the attic and it sucks. You got to do it. All right. Or I got to go down to the basement and I got to peel back the insulation a little bit to see if that boot's sealed. It's really important. Don't fail to give full credit for efforts to provide tight, properly sealed and insulated ductwork. Okay. If you say it's uninsulated and it's unsealed and it's in an attic, it could be a half a ton to a ton more on the load for no reason, if it actually is, right? Or if you're going to fix that, make sure you account for that in the load. All right. So the difference between an unsealed duct, I'm sure everybody's seen this here, and then a sealed boot with the flex going right to it, right? Very obvious. You should be looking for that. And then, of course, don't apply any safety factors at any stage of the load process. So don't say I have single pane windows when they're really double pane. Don't say I have really bad infiltration when it's actually average, right? Really low R values. If you're within a couple of points, right? Instead of R19, you say it's R16, it's not going to change the load calc. But if you say it's R0 instead of R19, we got a problem, right? So really important, no additional safety factors during the calculation process. You should do an aggressive load calculation. There's already so much rounding when you get to that last number, and we don't want to apply a safety factor to the final answer either. So in case you didn't know, software has to stop rounding. The calculation can't go on forever, right? And if you do an aggressive load calculation, Hank Rakowski, in a class that I went to, this was a long time ago, said that there's already 20% oversizing built into this software because you have to stop the calculation somewhere on every door, window, wall, ceiling, floor across the board, right? So because of that rounding, there's already 20% oversizing built in. And then you're able to oversize another X amount depending on the system using manual S. So there's no reason to apply an additional safety factor to the final answer of what your aggressive load calculation is. Use the equipment selection procedure and do it correctly. All right, what did you think? Did you like the 2-part training on manual J load calculations, what not to do? Did I miss anything? I'd love to hear your comments below. Of course, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any great trainings like this. If you want them 1 year in advance, head over to my Patreon page where you can get access to all of them for as little as $8 a month. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.